Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Nightforge. Today we're diving into a clash of titans, a battle that has been debated in hushed tones for centuries. Forget every epic showdown you've ever imagined. Today, we're pitting the wrath of Achilles against the might of Beowulf in a battle for the ages. One is a mythic warrior blessed by the gods, the other, a legendary hero who faced the impossible. Prepare to have your assumptions about who would emerge victorious completely shattered. So, who are these legendary warriors? Let's start with Achilles, the star of Homer's Iliad. Born of a goddess, Thetis and the mortal king, Peleus, Achilles was the greatest warrior of the Achaean army. He was a force of nature on the battlefield of Troy, a whirlwind of bronze and fury. His speed was legendary, his skill with a spear unmatched. He was described as almost godlike, a beautiful, yet terrifying, instrument of war. But his most famous trait, his near invulnerability, granted by his mother who dipped him in the river Styx. This divine protection covered his entire body, except for one small, fateful spot, his heel. This vulnerability, however, is a later addition to the myth. In the original Iliad, Achilles is mortal, just supremely skilled. His true power came from his menace his wrath. When his honor was slighted, his rage was a cataclysmic force that could turn the tide of the entire Trojan War. He was a warrior driven by a thirst for Kleos or eternal glory, willing to trade a long life for a legacy that would echo through eternity. Now, let's journey north, to the cold, misty shores of Scandinavia, to meet our other contender, Beowulf, the hero of the Old English epic poem. Beowulf is the embodiment of the Anglo-Saxon heroic ideal. He's not a demigod, he's entirely human, but a human of almost supernatural strength and courage. The poem tells us he has the strength of 30 men in his grip. Where Achilles fought armies of men, Beowulf sought out the monstrous and the unnatural. He sailed to Denmark to face Grendel, a fearsome monster that had terrorized the great hall of Hero for 12 long years. Unarmed, relying only on his own immense power, Beowulf tore Grendel's arm from its socket. He then plunged into a murky, monster-infested mere to fight Grendel's vengeful mother, another terrifying creature of the depths. And finally, as an old king, he faced a fire-breathing dragon to protect his people, a fight that would ultimately claim his life. Beowulf isn't driven by personal glory in the same way as Achilles. He fights for his community, to protect the innocent, and to uphold his duty as a thane, and later as a king. His code is one of loyalty and selfless sacrifice. So, the stage is set. In one corner, we have Achilles, the pinnacle of Greek martial prowess, a lightning-fast warrior fueled by divine rage and a desire for immortal fame. In the other, Beowulf, the monster-slaying king from Geatland, a titan of human strength driven by duty and a selfless code of honor. The question is, if these two legends were to meet on the battlefield, who would walk away? To figure this out, we need to break it down. Let's look at their strengths, their weaknesses, and their fighting styles. First, let's analyze their physical attributes. Achilles is consistently described as swift-footed. His speed would give him an incredible advantage in a one-on-one duel. He could dictate the pace of the fight, darting in and out, landing blows before his opponent could even react. His skill with the spear and sword was honed by years of warfare against the most skilled warriors of his age. He was a master of traditional combat. Beowulf, on the other hand, is all about raw brute strength. The man wrestled a monster and ripped its arm off. He's a grappler, a brawler. His power is immense, almost beyond human limits. In a contest of pure strength, Beowulf has the clear edge. If he could get his hands on Achilles, the fight would be over in an instant. The Greek hero simply wouldn't be able to withstand that kind of crushing force, though it becomes a classic matchup. Speed versus power. Now let's talk about their gear. Achilles went into battle clad in divine armor, forged by the god Hephaestus himself. It was said to be impenetrable. He wielded a magnificent shield and a peerless spear. This equipment makes him an incredibly difficult opponent to damage. Beowulf's equipment is more mundane by comparison. He uses swords like Hrunting and Niggling, but they famously fail him against the supernatural heights of his monstrous foes. He relies more on his own body than on his weapons. Against Achilles' divine armor, Beowulf's standard sword would likely be useless. He would need to find a way to bypass the armor entirely, which brings us back to his grappling advantage. He wouldn't be trying to slash or stab, he'd be trying to restrain, crush, and break. So, while Achilles has the superior gear, Beowulf's fighting style is uniquely suited to circumventing it. This is where the psychological aspect becomes crucial. What drives these men? Achilles is fueled by rage. This makes him an unpredictable and terrifying opponent. When he enters his battle fury, he is almost unstoppable. However, this rage is also a weakness. It can cloud his judgment, making him reckless. Remember how he desecrated Hector's body? That wasn't the act of a cool, calculating warrior. It was an act of pure, unadulterated fury. Beowulf is the opposite. He is calm, stoic, and resolute. He assesses a situation and acts deliberately. He chose to fight Grendel with his bare hands, not out of rage, but as a calculated decision to make it a fair fight. This mental fortitude is a massive advantage in a prolonged battle. As Achilles' rage might begin to wane or make him sloppy, Beowulf's steadfast determination would remain. He is the marathon runner to Achilles' sprinter. So, let's imagine the fight. Picture a neutral battlefield. Achilles, a blur of motion, would likely take the initial advantage. He'd use his speed to circle Beowulf, peppering him with spear thrusts and sword strikes, testing his defenses. Beowulf, slower and more deliberate, would have to weather this initial storm. His shield and armor would take a beating, but his goal would be to close the distance. He would endure Achilles' attacks, waiting for that one moment, that one overextension or misstep. Achilles, perhaps growing frustrated by his inability to fell this mountain of a man, might get reckless. That's when Beowulf would make his move. He'd charge, absorb a blow to get inside Achilles' reach, and then it becomes a contest of grappling. Once Beowulf locks his hands on Achilles, the Greek hero's speed becomes irrelevant. His divine armor won't protect him from being crushed. In this close quarters scenario, Beowulf's strength would be the deciding factor. But what about the Achilles heel? If we allow this later part of the myth, it introduces a specific weak point. Does Beowulf know about it? Probably not. It's not like Achilles advertises it. However, in the chaos of a close quarters brawl, it's not impossible that Beowulf could damage it by accident. A stray kick, a fall, a twist. An injury to the foot or ankle would instantly neutralize Achilles' greatest asset, his speed. A stationary Achilles is a vulnerable Achilles, and one that Beowulf could certainly overpower. Without the mythical heel, as in the original Iliad, the fight is much more balanced, relying purely on skill and strategy versus raw power. Ultimately, this isn't just a fight between two men. It's a clash of heroic ideals. Achilles represents the individual hero, fighting for personal glory and renown. His story is a tragedy about the destructive nature of pride and rage. Beowulf represents the communal hero, the protector king who sacrifices himself for the good of his people. His story is one of duty, loyalty, and the fight against the forces of chaos that threaten human society. So, who wins? If the fight stays at a distance, where speed and skill with traditional weapons reign supreme, Achilles has the advantage. He is the master of that domain. But if Beowulf can turn it into a close-quarters struggle, a test of pure strength and endurance, his victory is almost certain. My verdict, it's incredibly close, but I have to give the edge to Beowulf. Achilles has never faced an opponent with the sheer physical power and unwavering resolve of the Geatish king. Beowulf's entire heroic career is based on fighting and defeating beings that are stronger, tougher, and more monstrous than any human warrior. No matter how skilled, he is a specialist in defeating the unbeatable. Achilles' rage is a powerful weapon, but Beowulf's steadfast courage and strategic mind in the face of overwhelming odds feel like the perfect counter. He would weather the storm of Achilles' fury and, when the moment was right, impose his will through sheer indomitable strength. But that's just my take. What do you guys think? Who is the ultimate warrior? The swift-footed demigod of Greece, or the monster-slaying king of the north? Let me know your arguments down in the comments below. I'd love to hear who you're backing in this battle for the ages. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this legendary showdown, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into history and mythology. Ring that bell so you never miss an upload. We'll see you in the next one.